Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, I'm going to try to explain a bunch of puzzles as clearly as possible, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll feel like you can understand maybe, 20, 30, 40 puzzles depending on how far I go. Okay, let's get started here. So this first puzzle is black to move, and the first thing I look at are checks, captures, and attacks, and I see that this black queen and this white queen are in tension here. My eyes do not even look at this move because it doesn't generate a threat at all. So my first thought is just take this and win. And that is the first puzzle. Let's move on to number 2. Okay, we are being checked, which means either I have to move the king to one of these squares. Let's just do this because I cannot go on this file, right? Because of this queen. Or I can interpose with the rook. Right? And the point of this is that if I were to interpose with the rook, I would also be pinning their queen to their king, which would leave me with an extra rook, which means I'd be winning the game because I can just mop up these pawns like this or perhaps like that. So that is going to be the answer here, and just take that. Okay, good. So let's keep looking. So right now they're threatening mate. 1, 2, 3. Mate and 3 with the rooks. So let's look for a check. I have this check with the rook. I have this check with the rook. I have this check with the rook. The only one that does not hang a rook immediately is this rook to d1. And importantly, the king cannot run out because the rook on the f file is cutting across. All that they can do is interpose, but then you just take it, right? So that's that one. Let's keep going. Okay, similar idea. When you see this formation here, your eyes should just gravitate toward getting to the back rank. And in this case, that is the answer here. If you were to take the bishop or something, they could just take with check, and then they would be able to drop back. So you don't want to do that. Instead, just drop the rook back, check, and then mate. Okay. Your knight is being attacked. Sorry, your queen is being attacked by the knight. So you have to move this queen, it seems, right? You could move it back. You could move it back here. You can maybe move it here. But instead, you want to see if there's a good intersection square between your queen and any other piece. Well, you can say, just as an example, what I mean by intersection square, a square that multiple pieces are seeing. So c4 is an intersection square. Of course, moving the queen there is not going to do anything. But another one would be f7, right? Just to help you can think about these positions and how to do it. This would be mate. So let's do that. Checkmate's always good. Okay, they just castled, so they just created weakness. These two, in some way, it's an intersection square, right? They're both pointing at h2. And what that means? I can take that. That's checkmate. So intersection squares are the thing to think about. Okay, they just took f1, which means they're threatening to move this, and then you're going to lose. So that gets very scary. So look for checks, captures, and attacks. Queen and the knight both converge on f7. Therefore, f7 should have my attention, and it does. And I can just take this, and that's just mate with the queen, because the king cannot do anything to walk away from that. All right, let's keep going. So I have my attention is on this rook, this queen, and just all of this pressure against the king. So I kind of just to say, I don't really look at this move. This last move doesn't catch my attention because all the action is happening on the F file. And again, checks, captures, attacks, intersection squares. Now look at the rook and the queen. They're both eyeing F8. Know what that means? If I take with the rook, the bishop is then forced to capture. And then, if you can imagine this, I can capture with the queen, and that would kind of suffocate the king. They cannot get out. Right, like that. So let's do that. Check and mate. Okay. Which way are the pawns going? That's a question. So it looks like the pawns are going up the board for white and down the board for black. So right now, this is kind of scary, these pawns. So I noticed checks, captures, attacks. Can I make a check on this 5th rank? Not really. Not a sensible one. They could just capture me in both cases. But I can check on f7. And what that will do is that'll cause the king to move. Doesn't really matter where they move. Then I can get my king to g2 after exchanging queens. and I would have enough to push through with these pawns. So if you can't visualize that, let's just go through it one more time. Queen check. Let's just say the king moves here. The idea being to take my pawn. I take the queen, they capture back. I bring up my king. The goal is to take this pawn here. And then what do? They take. Okay. I push this pawn and I'm good. All right, or I push this pawn. Either way. Seems like pushing the c pawn is better. Like this. And jump here. And you take it. And that other pawn would have been good. Okay. So let's see. This is a very similar pattern. You notice that the D file is completely blocked off. So if only there's a way I can generate a check and then swing my rook down to D1. Well, that's what catches my attention, are checking squares. So right now I notice that this bishop can check on A3, and that would cause the king, because it cannot go this way, that would cause the king to be forced to move back this way. Let's get the arrows off the board. Then, if I go bishop here, the king has to return, in which case I'll now have the ability to give mate on the back rank. So notice that my attention is not drawn to this rook because it's not generating any threats. So instead, checkmate in 1 and 2. Okay. This one I think is kind of easier than the last one. Again, look at intersection squares. Knight, queen, both converging on h7. h7 is not protected. This queen is not seeing this, which means I can just give checkmate in 1. Okay, we're 11 in. Same exact idea. Intersection squares. I'll go a little faster for this one. The idea is to think about every square and say, okay, what is the point? How do I see it? How does it work? Okay, so you have a queen, you have a rook. These are all converging here. And you might say, do I just sack the queen? Let's look at it. Queen sack, rook takes with check because it's covered. The king goes here, and then what? You check, they go back, and it's a draw. Do you want to draw? I don't think you want to draw. Instead of taking here, I think the best idea is to look at this first intermediate square of h6. Let's say you play queen h6, check. The king has to go to g8, and then how about now you take? The rook would have to take, the king or the queen would take, king moves to f8, and then queen h8 is mate. Can you visualize that? Not so easy, right? That's okay, but that's the idea. Check, take here, take there, and that is mate. Okay. So your queen is being attacked, and the immediate impulse is like, oh, I gotta move this queen, I gotta move this queen. And that's a good idea, generally speaking, but this king on g8 looks kind of vulnerable. And just think, if I can check this king, that'll buy me one more move. And that's the key. Checking on f6 will force the king to h8, which will then allow for convergence right here on h7, like this. So check and mate. So you don't always have to respond to that threat. Same idea here. This is a nice one. So my king is looking very vulnerable here. This is a pretty huge threat. So what do I do? Well, I can make this check, but then it feels like the king can just go to any of these squares. So let's ask yourself a question. If d6 check and the king goes to f8, well, I can just take this bishop, right? So that's mate. So then you say, okay, I can't go there. Cool. What if they go to e8? Well, then my a8 rook can still take that in its mate. So then the question you have to ask yourself is, what if after d6 check, the king goes to d8? And now is where there's another kind of mini tactic in here. This bishop is powerless right now, right? Because it's pinned. Which means I can play knight b7 check. The king then has to go back, and then I can take this bishop. Did you follow that? Lots of fun, right? Check and mate. Okay, so a lot of things to do here. This is check, which means I have to either move my king, put something in the middle, or take the piece that's attacking me. Well, what's the downside to taking this queen? There is no downside. You could just take that. So, let's take it. Okay, same idea here in terms of like suffocating the king. This is similar to a different one on the corner. Remember we did one like that? This queen is attacking a very vulnerable square, and because the king is blocked off on h1, your eyes should gravitate to this queen. Very dangerous position. And even though your queen's being attacked and scary stuff is being threatened, it's not actually there yet. Move like this and that looks scary, but they don't have two moves in a row. So you just take this and that's mate. Okay. So the first thing that I notice is that my queen is opposite my king, which means one of these two moves feels like it has to be right. Okay, now which one? Well, ask yourself, if I play knight d3 double check with the queen and the knight, then the king can just run to d2 and get away. So how do I also cover d2? Well, the only way to do that is to play knight f3, and that's double check, remember, because the queen is behind, which means this is not a capture. And that would be checkmate. If you're making double check, the king always has to move, which means that's checkmate. Okay, this is a good one. So the king just walked into a very vulnerable position. So you have to ask yourself, man, if I can get like a queen or something right here, I'd have all these squares covered. Well, it turns out you can because you have a queen on c4, and that is a convergence square, right? g4 is a convergence square, intersection square between the knight and the queen. Let's do that. Oh, it's mate. Okay, what did I see? Oh, it was being attacked. It was being attacked by the queen. Look at that. I totally missed that. Okay, I think you have to do something else. Let me see. So in that one, I'm looking at it on my other screen, or my other part of the screen here. What is the move? I thought the queen was on the other square for some reason. I was reading the puzzle too quickly. So I think it's just mate in one. You have to move that pawn. So you have to play, I'm pointing at the screen like you could see it. You have to play the black pawn to check the king. That would be mate. Okay. So on this one, same idea. Check, mate. Now I want to move fast now. Okay. What about this one? So this bishop is cutting across. This queen can put itself in a position to cut across, which means this is mate in one. I'm still tempted to move quickly because I feel bad for missing that one. That's all right. So what is this? So this happened here. What can I do? This bishop can't move right now. Well, it can. No, it can. So I want to play like this move. This is the move that comes to mind. The idea is to get black away so I can take this bishop. So if I play this, they block, take. That seems fine. Ooh, that's a very tricky move, but I think I can play this intermediate fork, and then if they take, I take. Yep. Okay, this is mate in one. So let's keep going through ones that are a little easy, and then we'll go to the harder ones. Ooh, this is very tricky. So my first thought here is to play bishop takes, and then if the king takes, I can take the bishop with check, and then I can win the queen. That's my first thought. Second thought is to take here first, but then if the queen takes, that's check, and I have to capture back. So what's wrong with this move? Let's calculate that. Bishop takes b2 check. If the king moves, then what? Then I take here, and it's just an exchange. Right? That seems fine. So, okay, I think let's just go with that. Okay. Yep, that's exactly what I just calculated. Cool. Okay, this looks very scary, but I think this move hits. How do you defend against both of these? You don't. Right? So this is pretty easy. 1, 2. Okay. Let's keep going. So what's the idea here? This bishop is on the same diagonal as this knight, which means I can play c6 check, which is a clearance move to clear out the bishop. Like this. Bishops move backwards. This is a pattern that you have to know. You're going to generate check. double check specifically when the king is in the corner. You get the rook to give itself like that, and then that's mate. That's a pattern you have to see. This one, same kind of thing, super normal pattern. So this one, you just think, look at the knight and look at these squares and look to see if you can swing anything to the H file. That's how I think about it. So that's the first thing I see, right? It's kind of funny. That's the first thing I see. Before even seeing this queen, before seeing this rook, the first thing I see is just throw this here and then take all the stuff in the middle. Okay, ooh, this is a good one. So if I block and they take, do I take with the pawn or the king? That's a cool question. So the answer is clearly to block, right? Oh, okay. Well, now you just take. And then you play king here. And you just push this pawn all the way. Okay, I can take here. And if they take, okay. So let's see here. We're at 28. I want to keep this video around a half an hour, hopefully under. So let's see, take, they take me, I take, they take, rook here, you have to move, and I take your bishop. That's how it's going to go down. Let's do that. Bang and bang. Sweet, I like that one. Okay, this one feels like rook here, and how do you stop mate? I'm missing how you even stop mate there. I guess they play this move. But then I just play queen here. That feels like, again, it's the intersection squares. My eyes don't even look at this bishop. I see my rook as an opinion, but I don't care. The rook is fine. So I think rook e8, and now how do you stop me checkmating you on one of these two squares? The only thing you can do is move this pawn, in which case I still have this square. Let's do that. Okay. It didn't go any further than that. This is just mate in one. We can make mate in ones quick. Okie dokie. Let's see here. This looks a little scary. And of course the impulse is to take here, but I think that after bishop here, you're getting slammed. So you gotta be very careful. So what is the move? You might wonder. Well, I wish I could tell you. Queen here is the first thing I think, because then I'm threatening here, I'm threatening the bishop. Okay, let's see. Queen here, if you take me, I take with check, you move your king. I can't take here, but then I could start bringing knights in. That seems like a bad idea for you. So after this move, what is the threat? You're going to play knight here, and then take, and then what? Bishop here? That's not going to do anything. Let's go with it. Ooh. Okay. Okay. I didn't really see any of that, but I don't see a problem with it either. I can take here, right? I don't see any issue there. Yep. Okay. What is the move? So my first thought is to play queen here with the idea of playing rook here, and then after the king moves, I take here with the queen. Let's see. And importantly, if queen here and the queen blocks like this, I can give queen to f4 check, and that is, of course, a fork. So that's like another thing that I noticed immediately. So of course my rook is hanging, by the way, so I can't make a nothing move. So check, queen here, check. Let's say you play here. I have to be careful because I don't want to give up mate. Let's calculate this. Queen to h4 check. Okay. And then g7, king g7, rook here, check. If they go back, then I have queen to e7 check, and then I have mate. Oops, mate on g7. Okay, that's enough convincing for me. Yeah, this is good. I'm convinced. Okay, check, mate. How are you stopping mate? I don't see it. Yeah, there's no way to stop it. Okay, I want to block off the out square, right? The idea is I'd love to push this pawn and give mate, but if I push this pawn, they can run out, which means let's play this move to prevent them from walking out. Now, what if they do this? Well, then I can take, right? Let's do that. Very tricky move. Cool. I like that. Okay. I can just take this knight. I think I can just take this knight. If I play rook takes knight, pawn takes knight, rook here, and I'm pinning the queen to the king. Let's keep it quick. Okay. So, check, take, take. They win the pawn. It's a draw. So if I play rook check, the king has to go back, in which case I do what? Play this pawn move? Maybe a zugzwang situation? I like the practical nature of this one. Okay. Rook to d3 check. The king has to go to c1. King c1. Oh, how about just rook here? And then you have to take me, in which case I now take, and I have the opposition. King here, king here, king here, king here, king there. I go here, push the pawn. I think I'm good with that. Let's do that. Yep. Basic king and pawn endgames. Gotta love it. Okay. Pawn is hanging with check. That catches my attention. Just to say that off the bat. So, queen f6 check. The king moves. And now the question is, what do you do? And I'm not really sure I have an answer for that. What if instead I play knight g6 check, and then if you take me, I can now play check, and then it's a perpetual check. It wouldn't even be a perpetual check though. Okay. This is one I do not see immediately. So, which is fine. It's normal. Queen f6 check. The king moves away. Now in this position, I'm missing something. Now if knight here, and they take it, I'm trying to think if I have anything fancy in that position. So there's only one candidate move right now for me, which is just queen f6 check. After the king moves. What if I play this move? g6, threatening mate. No, I'm not. I'm not threatening mate. The square is covered. Okay. This feels like it has to be the right move. Isn't it funny how you can't really explain it? I just feel like this is the right move because I feel like it has to lead to something. I think Hikaru actually mentioned this in his podcast with Lex Friedman, how it's hard to know. Intuitively, you know the best move, but it's hard to rationalize it and put it into best terms. I'm not saying this is the best move. I'm not positive, but it feels like it is. Queen f6 check. King moves. I'm missing something here. I don't have any checks. I'd love to be able to do something. I was thinking like some fancy idea where I can pick off this rook or this one. Okay, let's just go with this. That is the first move. Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm not crazy. What about just knight here? Isn't that funny how after you make the move you see it? I think knight here makes sense because I'm going to go knight here and you can't stop the mate. So I think you have to give up your queen. Yeah. I didn't see that in the previous position. Isn't that funny? I don't know why. I could tell that move was right, but I can't really make out why. This move strikes me immediately. So knight e5, the threat is here and here. And the idea is that if you take my bishop, I'll take your queen. So, but if you take my knight, I can take with queen check, essentially. I can take with the pawn, which unleashes an attack, and then you can trade, but that's going to be beneficial for me. Let's just go with that. Ooh, I missed that intermediate move. So I think I have to play here, And then if you take me, I take this one with check, and then I take there. Seems fine. And of course, I have that bishop at the end. Okay. This looks pretty insane. So I have only two options, right? This queen is pinned, right? So I can't move it. So I have either, okay, I have three options. I have e7, c7, c8. If you go to e7, then the rook here, I think is even worse, because then you're losing this even worse. If I go to c8, that feels worse as well, because you're taking that with check. I feel like c7 is the only sensible square. And the idea is that then you take mine, I take yours, and I'm up, still up. Let's go with that. Okay. Okay, so what about this? Queen here. What's wrong with this? Then you go there. Okay. Pretty cool. Trying to find something. Queen g3. Check. The king goes here. I cannot play here. Unlike the puzzle I missed, the queen is actually on the square that I'm looking at. There's a temptation, though, to play this move and then to push the pawn. Oh, I didn't even see this bishop. I have too big of a monitor or something. I didn't even see this bishop. Okay, there's a pretty big threat here. So no quiet moves allowed. Queen b3, g3. Here. Okay. I just take the knight, right? I think that's fine. Yeah, I think I can get away with this. And then the king moves. Okay, then you can play queen here, check. The king goes back, you promote the pawn. Let's do that. Like this. Yep, and then promote the pawn was next. Okay, what is the next thing? I'm very tempted to just push this pawn, but then if they promote, I can take it. No, I'm okay there. D2, the idea being to promote, and they cannot stop it because this pawn is guarding the very important E1 square. So let's play D2. I don't see anything. D2, they queen. I take the queen. They take me. I promote, and I'm up a lot of material. I don't see anything wrong with this. Yep. No stalemates or anything, I suppose, is one thought. Rook takes, pawn takes, and I win this. But then you get this. But then I get the bishop, and I'm threatening mate, and I'm also threatening the rook. So I'm reading the board. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not calculating, I'm just reading it. So this is my thought. Rook takes d4. Pawn takes d4. Removing the defense of the bishop. Queen to f4. And then if they take you, you can now take this. And now with the queen and the bishop, threatening the rook, and I'm also threatening mate. And then they have to do this. But then I can't get the rook. Right? It feels like I have the right idea, but perhaps the wrong order or something. So rook takes here, here, here. Oh, we'll just take here with the queen? No, because I'm not actually threatening there. I like this one. I like this one. It's funny how this move just cries out to me. I can't explain it. The first thing I thought was rook takes d4, like immediately. Rook takes d4. Rook takes d4. Pawn d4. Do I have a different move in this position? A way to move the knight? I don't think so. Maybe like here, here, and then throw the knight in? Because that would free up this. Let's just make this move. I don't want to make this video too long. Okay, that's the right move. Isn't that hilarious? I can't explain the intuition. F4, queen F4. This is just the move that I was thinking. And then if you take me, but now I'm tempted by this move because it looks kind of dangerous. But then they take, and then what? Then you play here. Ooh, maybe that's it. You play this, and then they take, and then you play queen here. But if they take with the rook, you just take that, and if they take there, you take here. I think I'm gonna throw it in. Oh, it does work. That's amazing. It's so funny how I couldn't really see that as much as I just saw the idea behind some sacrifice somewhere. Okay, check, check, and then is that mate? Okay, let's analyze it. Let's not guess. I'm doing a little bit of guessing. Sorry if it's not that instructional. Rook d3, king e4, pawn f5 check, king has to step up, and then rook to e3, I believe, is mate. Let's go with it. That looks nice. Okay, check, here, take the queen. That's the immediate thought. Does it work? Who knows? Okay. Queen g6. If the king just moves, then I believe I have this deflection tactic of rook d8. The queen has to take, and then I give mate. Convergence. If instead they block with the queen, well, I was giving this idea of rook here. I just take the queen. Come on, Frank, take the queen. So I think that's the idea. Yep. This is a very sweet deflection tactic. Bang. I'm at 45 already. Wow. Now, once I say that, I'm going to jinx myself. Okay. So, first thought is like rook here. The idea is I'm going to go for mate. Like this. If I play rook here, threatening knight a3 mate, how in the world do you stop that? How in the world do you stop that? If you go bishop here to prevent my knight move, I go knight here instead. That feels like the right move, but you notice how the puzzles, as they get more advanced, it's less about the direct attack as much as it is setting up the direct attack. Right? This move is laying a trap. That trap is, well, you can't get out of it, knight a3. Okay. Let's see. I don't see a good defense. And that usually is a bad sign that I'm not calculating well, because there is always a defense. Whether it's the best defense or not is the thing I'm worried about. I play this move. Maybe they play, I don't know, what move is there? Like, push the pawn, rook move, bishop move. It doesn't matter, because I'm hitting here. I don't see a good defense, which means I'm going to go for it. Oh, see, I just mentioned this. I didn't see this. I didn't even see this. But I could just take this. Yeah, like that. Okay. But I still should have considered that was even a move. I did not consider that as a move. Okay. Now, what is the thought here? First thought, by the way, just to share it, is queen a3 with the idea of rook here, because that would be a pin. But immediately I'm already worried about what if the rook comes here. I'm not so sure how to answer that. Not so sure how to answer it. If I'm being fully honest, I am not sure. So perhaps, and there's also a very scary threat of rook takes pawn. And if I take, pawn pushes. So the queens have to stay on the board, I think. Just, I don't know if that works out, but I'm just seeing it. That's a pretty cool move. Okay, now how do I defend against this properly? Well, now I was doing this to set up the rook going here. Another way to set up the rook going here is to play queen to b8. The idea being double stack, like, and then on the b file, and then try to hit b2. Now, if the rook comes here, I would be able to take that, which means the king has to move out of the way. Does that give me what I want, though? Well, this actually is a good move now, because, oh, that's a really good move, because this move blocks off this square. So the king has nowhere to go. That has to be it. Ah, sweet. That's a good one, actually. I kind of missed the detail at the end. Okay. Take, check. Oh, it's not check. What about bishop here? Look at how tricky some of these moves are getting. I don't know if this works, but bishop here, if you take me, that's okay. I have time. I'm mating you. If I do this and you make a pawn move, well, then I can go here. The king moves. I can take there. Okay, hold on. Hold on, Frank. Let's not get crazy here. I want to play bishop somewhere. Let's say bishop e5. Now, the goal here is I'm trying to threaten checkmate. But you could just play knight here and say, what's the big deal? So how do I prevent that? Interesting. What about bishop f4? Well, then they just drop back, right? And then take, and I have nothing. It feels like there's some back ranker here. I'm just not quite seeing it. So what is I really like this move, bishop e5. There's just something about that move that feels so right. I just can't describe it. Oh, the rook is going to get trapped if it's not careful. Wait a second, that's not right, because the bishop itself is hanging. So I was thinking bishop here, and if like knight here, I was thinking king goes out and attacks, but they just take. Good idea. I like where your head's at. I like where your mind's at, but it's not exactly what you need to do. Bishop e5. That move is the one I keep thinking of. So what's wrong with the immediate bishop takes h2? You just take it, and then I go here, and then they move the bishop, and they say, yeah, you're not actually threatening to take this rook because it's protected, and by the way, you have king problems of your own. But if I play bishop e5, what is wrong with this move? I feel like it has to be one of these for reasons I have not yet established. Okay, let's go back to this idea. If bishop f4, I think the rook just drops back, right? Nothing wrong with that. And then take. I can't tell you that I know bishop e5 because I don't, but that just feels like the right move because I'm blocking off the back rank. Okay, let's calculate one more time. Bishop e5. Let's keep thinking here. Bishop e5. Now, let's just say you understand my threat is to get here. You play the very calm knight move. I can take that. So you can't do that because then you capture back. I play this move, you're going to get mated. So you can't play that move. But you can play knight here, right? What's wrong with that? Then I can capture the pawn, and when you take here, I can take there. What is the count of material? Rook, 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 knight, knight, bishop, bishop, 6 against 5. So I don't think it's in my favor to go for just one pawn. That feels a little too superficial. This feels like the right move. It feels like the right move. No other move is even on my radar. Should I just go for it? How long has this video been so far? 38 minutes. Wow. Okay, let's go for this then. Ah, that's not right. Okay. That's okay. It felt like a cool move. How about rook check? I want to go back to this one. Keep thinking about it. Maybe it was the other one. I'm interested. Can I click on this? Well, I'm still in it. I don't know. I'm afraid it'll mess something up. Rook f3. If the king walks, I have this check. I have this one. It feels like that. I'm kind of... Well, I want to get to 50, though. Rook check. If the rook blocks, can I just go here? But then after this gets pretty dicey. I don't know if I can visualize that far. Okay. What are the moves are on my thought process? This move feels right. It does not. Okay. Well, that's it then. We have 47. So much for breaking 50. Let's go back. I really want to see this one. Just uploaded it on my screen here. This was the other move I was considering. Nope. Let's look at this. Nope. Okay. Now let's think about it again then. So just from the top. What other move is on my mind? Oh, what about this move? Same idea. It covers this. Does that work? It's funny how when you look at it with fresh eyes, you're like, oh yeah, no kidding. Okay, that hurts. Let me go back. Puzzle rush. This is the last one. I kind of, if I'm being honest, I felt a little like I did it impulsively. Yep, I looked at this and I thought about just sacking the rook straight away. No, okay, that's not right. Maybe I should calculate instead of just guess. Let's see. Don't want to trade, do I? What's the benefit of taking the king off the back rank, though? Because if I do this, it just goes back. I want to play this move. Thinking and thinking and thinking. I'm not so sure. I'm trying to look for a flashy move. If I do this and you take, it doesn't do anything. Maybe hit this again. Oh my gosh. It's a double attack. Right here, I'm thinking about the king move, but I'm also, look, I'm right here. Just do that. Goodness gracious, how did I not see that? Okay, that's the move. That's it. So I got 40, what did I say? 40 something? 47, all-time fourth. I think I got 55 once, and it took me a long time. So hopefully you enjoyed it and got something out of it. If you did, let me know. Oh yeah, let's go back to this one. I missed it. Yeah, pawn move is mate. I was thinking, it's funny, it's a little embarrassing by the way. I was thinking this queen was somewhere else. So I was like, oh look, a dovetail mate. That was the first thing. I'm like, I'll just show that pattern of dovetail. Yeah, you just look like an idiot. So that's just me getting it wrong, but that's the beauty of learning. So that is it. Cool. Well, if you got something out of this, let me know in the comments. I love making these videos. I love puzzles. If you like this kind of thing, I'm thinking about doing a stream one day and then doing some puzzle rush and kind of interacting with the community. So let me know if you'd love that. And if you'd like to be a part of it, I would love to see some feedback. But that is it for now. Thank you so much. Bye.